Okay. Okay, we'll learn it more. So we're going to be talking about the business cycle. We know that this is just fluctuations in our economy. Y'all know the difference between each side. This one has higher highs and lower lows, right? And this is because our government endorsed what policy? Laissez-faire. And after this time period, John Maynard Keynes is going to come in saying our government should be able to interfere in the economy, and this is why our highs and our lows are not as dramatic as before World War II. So the business cycle theory really focuses on 4 phases of the business cycle: the expansion, the contraction. Those are the 2 main phases. Peak and trough are just momentary. They're one time they hit and then we're done. We're out of it. But most of the 2 phases that we're in perpetually is either the expansion or shifting over into the contraction. So the business cycle is measured by a couple of things. GDP, which we talked about, is gross domestic product. What is produced in a year? Goods and services, right? We are also looking at inflation. Let's put up the phone, right? Which is the cost of prices going up, right? Last thing, we're looking at unemployment. So these 2 numbers right here are going to be really important when we start looking at indicators. 3%, if we're over that, we're in an expansion. If we have unemployment over 6%, what phase of the business cycle do you think we're in? We're in a recession, a contraction. So these 2 numbers are going to be key indicators when we start looking at how the government deals with its fiscal and monetary policy. So in a contraction, it is 2 consecutive quarters, so basically 6 months of our economy faltering. So the bad thing about this is that we have to have 6 months of data. So within 6 months of data, are we going to have a delayed government response? Yes, this is like finding out you have a fever 6 months ago and then trying to give you medicine, right? And so this is why a lot of our monetary and fiscal policy don't immediately come into effect, because we have to be able to measure it. So this is our business cycle. We're going to look at the 2 main phases, the expansion and the contraction. So in an expansion, I want us to look. There is a trend here. In an expansion, GDP is up, durable goods are up, factory orders are up, raw materials are up, unemployment is down, consumer confidence is up, aggregate demand, what people are demanding, is up. CPI, the consumer price index that measures inflation, is up. What is the trend that we see in an expansion? Everything is what? Increasing, except what? Unemployment, because people are what? Employed. So there is a trend, and I promise this is an easy trend to remember, that everything goes the same way except for what? Unemployment. So in a contraction, I should see all my arrows go which way? Down, and what should go up? Unemployment, okay? So in the expansion, we see it usually tends to last longer than contractions. Our economy is doing well, everybody has jobs, people are making money, people are spending that money. And this will cause something that we're going to talk about in Unit 2 called demand pull inflation. Don't worry about this. This is something I'm going to come back to. We build off each other. Okay? So the problem during an expansion, prices are increasing. Do we like that? No, because what happens to our purchasing power? It goes down, right? We see the interest rates are increasing, and we're having the problem of demand pull inflation. I'm going to talk about this in Unit 2. So a peak, it's when everything is at its highest. Prices are the highest, employment is at the highest, GDP is at the highest, unemployment is at the lowest. So now I'm going to look at a contraction. Everything is in the reverse of an expansion. Demand is down, GDP is down, durable goods are down, factory orders are down. What is up?
Unemployment.
Because people are not what? People are not employed because people are not what with they're not what in the product market? They aren't demanding stuff, right? And so we see consumer confidence down and prices are down. So a contraction, there's nothing really good about a contraction unless you have a job. The economy has slowed down, businesses have laid off workers, and what we see is cyclical unemployment, which I'm going to talk about when I get to Unit 2. Right? So the trough, everything is at its lowest, and what is it at its highest? Unemployment. Okay, so basically a recession is when GDP is down for 2 consecutive quarters. A depression is longer than that. So that's what we saw in the Great Depression, which from 29 all the way up until the U.S. got in World War I, 1941. Okay, that is a depression. It is elongated. So again, there are several things that lead to these fluctuations in the economy. Usually they're internal factors, which we're going to look at the internal factors right now. Capital, basically what businesses spend. So if there's a housing boom, capital, they're going to spend way more money. Jobs will increase as well. Inventory adjustments. If businesses stop to cut back on their inventories, that means less people are producing stuff, people are going to lose their jobs. Innovation. We saw this in 2000 with the creation of the internet. When the internet was created, that new innovation caused a lot of businesses to hire more people, employ more people, because we were selling more items. When Ford created that moving assembly line, that was a new innovation, right? And what did it lead to? Car production to increase, which also caused what to increase? There's more cars. Did people demand those cars as well? And so we're always going to see innovation have a great impact on gross domestic product in our economy that will lead us into an expansion. Also, there's monetary factors, which I'm going to eventually talk about in Unit 4 with monetary policy. How the government could come in and produce more money, and that would lead to demand. But we're not going to worry about that now. External factors about what will cause our economy to falter. If we go to war, our economy kind of slips. So do y'all remember last year with the Iranian hostage crisis, and then not last year in my course, not that it happened last year, and how that led to OPEC deciding that they were not going to send the U.S. oil, and that led to a type of inflation. Do y'all remember what it was called? It was high unemployment and high inflation, stagflation. Okay? And so that is those external factors affect our economy that actually send us into a recession in the 70s. Natural disasters, remember when Hurricane Harvey hit Houston and then our oil industry went down? That affected our economy as well, and that sent a temporary recession in Houston. Okay, how do y'all feel? Okay. All right, I know